Okay, so before we start the review, if you don't know what the heck is going on, basically this, or this even, it's over here, or there. It's probably both. Basically, interactive podcast. I am going to be reviewing something, in this case, Twilight films, and I've got a bit of a set schedule of things to go through. But if at any point you have any opinions, questions, anything like that, feel free to chip in and I will try and join the discussion, answer any questions, just do my best best I can to respond. So yeah, it's meant to be an interactive podcast, so please do feel free to speak up, speak your piece. Let me know your opinions, what you reckon. So, would you be a vampire if I could? No. No, don't really like the taste of blood. Kind of a no-no. Also, living forever, watching everyone I like die. Not for me. You don't watch any Twilight movies? Well, you're in luck. You're in luck. Because I have I've taken some time today to go through and write a little summary of each and every Twilight film. So, basically, that's the first thing I'll be doing. I'll be going through each of the Twilight films to give everyone the full overview of the whole Twilight Saga. So if everyone's ready, I think we're going to get started. Yeah, but I thought that's the best way to go through them, to review them. Just go through them film by film and sort of, flesh them out. Because I watched them years ago now. Honestly, I can't remember them very well, but well enough to talk about them. Yeah, Carius, you pretty much nailed it on the head, but there's some other stuff that happens which is it's not the whole story. Oh, there's a lot more. There's a lot more you may not know about Twilight, Carius. It goes surprisingly deep. Probably, went over your guy's head because you need to be incredibly smart to understand the complexities of Twilight. Maybe not the first one. She is not gay. I don't believe she's gay. Maybe in real life. Wait, is there... I think that was the thing. Maybe she's gay in real life. Maybe. Very deep, Gale. Very deep. Plot twist, yes, indeed. Okay, well, first of all, before we jump into what the movies are about, you haven't missed anything. I'm literally just about to jump in. This is the first. You are right on time. Welcome, Jackie. And we were also wondering whether Kristen Stewart is in fact gay or bi in real life. I think she might be. Or at least she had a girlfriend at one point, maybe. Right. So basically, there's one thing you really need to know before discussing Twilight, and that's the three main players. You got your vamps, you got your vampires, you got your wolvies, your furries, and then you've got humans. Those are the three main. Kristen Stewart is bi. There you go. Now we know. Now we know. Who asked the question? Carius. Now you know. So those are your three main players: your humans, your furries, and your vampies. Now within those, obviously there are your good and bad. There are your good and bad furries, your good and bad vamps, your good and bad humans. Right, so yeah, like I said, how I'm going to go through this is film by film. So let's start with Twilight, the first. Just simply Twilight. Let's just turn down the music a little teeny bit. Would you rather be banged by a werewolf than a vampire? Oh, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. Don't you worry. Okay, so Twilight, the first movie, essentially starts off as your classic high school film. Teenage girl, I think Bella is the main character, played by Kristen Stewart, is meant to be about 16, I think. And basically, she and her dad move into the middle of nowhere, into a town called Forks. Middle of nowhere, wooded town, very, very rustic, bit run down. And it essentially starts, girl goes into new school, new high school, yep, Forks, as in the eating utensil, correct. So she's the new girl in school, and inexplicably, every single one of the students takes a huge liking to Bella out of nowhere, even though she is the plainest, most boring girl in the history of ever. So she walks in, instantly accosted by other side characters, one of whom is, I don't know the names, but one's played by Anna Kendrick. Though they will grow on to be her friends, human friends. Don't really play a big part, so you can just forget about them. But this is the big moment. When she walks in to, I think it's chemistry or biology, something like that, a science class, she sees him across the room. The handsomest man she ever did see. Edward Cullen. She walks in. Edward Cullen is the only one without a lab partner. Oh. Bella has to sit next to Edward. Now, when Bella walked in, Edward basically almost chucked up. He was not having any of it. He did not like this woman. He acts like a little child who has just, I don't know, seen a big poo on the floor. He gives a major stink eye. He gives the whole... He's not subtle about it. He's literally there like... It's weird. So she sits next to Edward. You'll find what I found in these movies is every single interaction is very drawn out and very awkward. It's so awkward, this introduction. It's like, hi, I'm Edward Cullen. This one. Oh, it's so bad. So bad. Hello, Pete. Welcome. We're just in the middle of going through the first Twilight movie. You haven't missed much. So yeah, she meets Edward, and the only movie where the Black Eyed Peas were featured. What? Really? I may have missed that. Like I said, saw these a long time ago. Just had a little recap today. So yeah, thus blossoms the greatest love story ever told between Bella and Edward. Oh, dearie me. Now, where do I go from here? Basically, there's a lot of awkward talking, maybe a bit of flirting, but it's very awkward. Edward's still like, whamming, as you do. But I think after school, I don't know if it's the same day, but after school, a freak accident happens and Bella is about to be crushed between two cars, and then out of nowhere, from across the car park, Edward zooms over and fucking yeets the other car out of the way. He fucking power punches that car out of the way, leaves a huge dent, and she's like, okay, so you're like Superman or something. He yeets it out of the way. Obviously she's very impressed. Edward just saved her life. For some reason, no one else in the school has eyes and didn't notice this, and didn't notice that this happened. But this starts to get Bella thinking. She's like, oh, this boy who was about to throw up when he first saw me is not quite right. He is not quite right. So she starts tippity-tapping away at her laptop, doing some research, and she eventually comes to the conclusion that this guy must be a vampire. So in the woods, they were just in the woods one day, and she confronts him, and lo and behold, he is a vampire. He is a vampy boy, one of our 3 main players. Yep, she gave it a googs, and came up with vampirism as the culprit. I think he didn't go out in sunlight, he didn't eat, stopped a car with his bare hands, super speed, you know the drill. So then they were in the woods. I don't know why they were in the woods, but nothing sexual, because we'll get into that, because theirs is not a fully sexual relationship yet. Bear in mind, these people are meant to be 16, so I don't want to, okay. We'll get there. Not that age is very prevalent on these people's minds. We'll get into that as well. It all gets a bit weird. So basically, Edward admits to Bella, yes, I am a vampire. Yes, I do. Yes, I do sparkle in the sunlight for some reason. That's why we can't go in sunlight. Reveals all of it. Gives her an insane piggyback ride around the forest at super speed through the treetops. Very weird. 17 in the books. Sorry. I will admit, I tried to read the books and gave up because it was so poorly written. I wanted to kill myself. I thought the films were okay, but I could not get through the books. Oh dear. They're in the woods because Bella had suspicions of Edward being a vampire. I think she literally went, "Hey, I think you're a vampire," and he's like, "Come with me, I need to show you something," or some shit like that. Beardley, hello. Thank you for leaving the stream open. Thank you very much. Read them 10 times. Oh, well, that's something. I won't knock them too hard. I personally couldn't get through the books. I couldn't get through the books. I'm sorry. I'm kind of telling her that now. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. So it turns out Edward is actually over 100 years old, which makes it extra weird that he's with this actual 16-year-old. Age differences will come back to, as I teased in the last stream. Yeah, pedo. Yep, like 100%, no grey area. He is 107 8-year-old going after a 16-year-old. It's like that ain't right. That ain't right. He does look a bit like a corpse, but you know, vampire. You know. Okay, so basically, that's where the whole love story starts to begin. For some reason, also Bella literally does not care in the slightest that he's a vampire. Does not faze her at all. She's a bit of a weirdo. Going through her emo phase or some shit, I don't know. So the main crux, like the main, ending sort of meat of this story, other than all the lovey-dovey stuff, is the fact that Bella Swan has that tasty blood. Now, Bella blood, cream of the crop. Bella blood, and that is why Edward looked so sick when she came in, because he had never wanted to eat someone more. Not like that. He'd never wanted to suck someone more. Not like that. He'd never wanted to drain someone more. That's, I don't know. Drink her blood. He wanted to kill her, basically, and that's why he was acting so weird. Hello, Pan Pan. Your blood is like a drug for me. You're like my personal brand of heroin. Ah. Oh, dearie me. Right. So, yeah, thank you for the quotes. Much appreciated. I'm gonna need more context. It's all a bit hazy. But Edward was a thirsty boy. So Bella has some tasty-ass blood, and due to this tasty-ass blood, there are 3 bad vampires. There is a vampire called James. There is a... Wait, what? Pete, what? Wait, what? What's going on? What did I miss? Oh, you blocked a message. Okay, cool. Just doing your modly duties. Carry on, sir. Yep. There's a James, bad vampire. There's Victoria. What are you on about? N-word? No, there shouldn't be an N-word. Very confused. Right. So yep, evil vampires. Anyway, back to Twilight. Evil vampires. There's James. There's Victoria, and then there's some other guy who I don't remember. Maybe Jackie can remember the other one. But they're not played by the Black Eyed Peas, are they? Or are they? They might be. Oh god, are they? Laurent. There you go. Laurent is the 3rd bad vampire, and they want Bella blood. They want that juicy Bella blood. So that is the those are the main bad guys. This is where it gets a bit hazy. I think Laurent has a bit of a change of heart and warns the Cullens of the other 2. And then at the end, James kidnaps Bella in some sort of warehouse or something. And then the final scene is Edward fighting James. Edward kills James after he bit Bella. And then Edward or someone sucks the vampire venom out of Bella so she wouldn't turn into a vampire, and saves her life, basically. And that is essentially the whole of the first movie, as long as I'm not forgetting anything. Like I said, a bit hazy. I haven't seen it in a long time. Yes, I am in the movie, but I did just die. Because I was not a good bloke. I kidnapped someone and tried to kill them. Yes, I did attempt to suck Bella. Well, yeah, I'm gonna mention those in the other one, because there are you may recall I mentioned the furries, the Wolfie boys. Now, the Wolfie boys didn't really play a big role in the first one. It's more just the Bella and Edward show. But we are introduced to Jacob, which I believe is Bella's childhood friend, and straight up hottie without the long hair. Obviously, that's just a really bad wig and looks really bad. But don't really see much of him. He's maybe got a crush or something. We'll get into it more in the second movie. But yeah, that's the first movie. Pretty standard. Picture your standard like lovey-dovey high school thing, but throw in some super speedy vampires. It's just Jacob's hot with the short hair, because the long hair looks real dumb, and it's a really really bad wig. Also worth noting that Jacob is always shirtless. Without fail, always shirtless. Jacob's only 14? Is that so? Is he in the films as well? Is he meant to be 14? Because that's... I can't remember that. So maybe they made them all the same age in the films. Apart from the weird 100-year-old, but hey ho. In the first one, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, I wished I looked like that when I was 14, because holy shit. Holy shit, boy. Abs for days. Okay. Right. Well, I think I've covered all bases in the first one. Overall, not very, you know, intense. Just your standard high school romance. But if one was a vampire and she was like, "Huh, that's cool. I don't mind." I think she also asks to be turned into a vampire. That's a running thing. Bella really wants to be turned into a vampire so she can stay with Edward forever. That's the sort of thing that keeps on popping up, and everyone's like, yeah, no, you're dumb. Edward, yes, Edward can read minds. So basically, in this universe, a lot of the vampires have sort of special abilities. Edward can read minds. I think his sister can sort of... his sister, I think it's his sister, or sister, Alice, can like see visions of the future and stuff. They're all super strong, super fast. There's a lot of powers that come up in the later ones, which I'll get to. So no spoilers yet if you're still catching up. I won't go into all of the powers, but those are the main ones, especially Alice's visions, because Alice's visions basically solve every single problem that ever occurs in these movies. Because when you have a character that can inexplicably see the future and what's happening everywhere, turns out that solves a lot of problems. So, yeah, we'll revisit Alice. She's definitely a main player. Okay, so, yep, in the end of the first one, Edward kills James, and the other two escape. Victoria we will get back to, because she also is a main player. 2:59. Good night, Gail. Thank you for stopping by. Sorry it was a bit later than usual. See you around. Oh, excuse me. I have eaten too much. Oh, dearie me. And thank you for the host. I will wait for the thing to show up. There it is.
Plan, Pam said to Sam. Maybe jam tastes good on ham.
What did I eat? Barbecue, my dude. Had a burger, sausage, 2 kebabs, pretty lit, and a cookie, and 3 beers. Ooh, very good. Perfect barbecue weather. Anyway, right. Let's move on to the second one, because we'll go through all the stories and then maybe discuss some of the plot points. So the second movie is New Moon, and New Moon is essentially the first movie, but you take out vampires and you put in werewolves, and that's pretty much the second movie. It's the first movie but with wolves. Basically, at the start of the movie, Bella is round the Cullens house, so Edward's house, and she gets a paper cut and starts to bleed. Now, as we've discussed, Bella has that Gucci blood, so I think Jasper is his name, one of the Cullens, basically goes a bit crazy when she cuts herself and the blood starts to drip everywhere. So they decide it's too dangerous for them to be in the same area, so all of the Cullens move away. So they're pretty much not in the film, like, at all. A bit like the wolves were in the first one. So it's switched round. Now this film is where Bella starts to build up a bit more of a relationship with Jacob, who is a werewolf, but she doesn't know that yet. Much like the first one. But again, much like the first one, Bella's a smart girl and knows how to Google, so she figures out, or starts to figure out something's up, because Jacob's all starting to act weird. Whoa, Carrier, spoilers, dude! Spoilers, man! So she does some detective work when Jacob starts acting weird and was like, "Oh, you can't hang around with me, I'm a dangerous boy. Ooh, you don't want to get near me. I'm a big old bad boy. And such, and like his family were acting weird, and they all hate the Cullens for like no special reason. And it's like, what's going on here? Well, it turns out that Jacob and a lot of his family, I think are they Native Americans? I think they're all Native Americans, or most of them are. Basically, they are werewolves. And essentially, it's the werewolf's job to keep the vampires under wraps and kill the vampires. So that's why they hate the Cullens, because they are aware of one another, and they have some sort of uneasy truce going on. So yeah. Ouchie dry cough. What? What are you talking about? Hang on, let's need to zoom in on a bit on this on these notes here. So yeah, imagine the first film but with wolves instead. Now the main villain of this one is once again Victoria from the first film, and she is pretty pissed that Edward killed her boyfriend, James, me. So she wants to kill Bella, I think, or something like that. And basically the werewolves are tracking her down, trying to chase her down and murder her. Now, as Jacob and Bella are cavorting, because that was that's something I should have mentioned. Edward and Bella broke up. They were like, well, we need to stop this because, you know, vampire human doesn't really work. So the romance between Bella and Jacob is starting to manifest, as it were. But Edward keeps on appearing to Bella as some sort of weird misty ghost man at random points. Like at one point she was like walking down the street and there were some ruffians, and then suddenly there's a ghost Edward in front of her, and he was just like, keep walking. It's like, okay, fucking hell, okay Edward. So basically whenever she's in danger, this ghost Edward would pop up, so he's clearly spying on her. Oh, is that it? So is she not really there? Or do they have... No, but they must have some sort of connection, right? Because basically at the end of the film, or near the end of the film, Bella jumps off a cliff and almost dies. And that alerts Edward because they have some sort of special bond, right? And he thinks she's dead. But if they don't have a connection, like Jackie's saying, then maybe I'm wrong. She hallucinates him whenever she gets an adrenaline rush. So that's why she jumps off the cliff. Because she wants to see Edward. Did Alice see that she was dying or something like that? Because somehow Edward knew that she was in trouble, or thought... Alice sees a vision of... There we go. Because Alice can't see werewolves, of course. Of course. Thank you. Right, okay. Okay. So Misty Ghost Edward isn't actually real Edward. Oh, you're confused now, Pete. Yeah, oh yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, whoa, Jackie, spoilers, I'm getting to that bit. Oh my god. Whoa, slow your roll. Yeah, so somewhere or another, through visions or vampire senses, whatever it is, Edward thinks that Bella is dead. Now, Edward is a dumb boy who doesn't think of just, you know, going back to check, you know, popping back in, saying hi or whatever. No, he goes straight to Italy or some shit to the High Council of Vampires called the Volturi, or something like that. And he basically tries to kill himself. And the way he wants to kill himself is that he is going to force expose himself as a vampire. So basically he's going to walk out at high noon and he's going to let his sparkle show, which is the dumbest way. It's a really dumb scene. But meanwhile, Alice goes back to Forks to actually check if Bella's okay. So Alice realizes Bella's okay, is like, oh shit, now Edward's in Italy or whatever trying to fucking off himself. Guess we're gonna have to go and sort that out now. So Bella and Alice yeet off to wherever Eddie Boy's killing himself to. I know, right, Jackie? It's so dumb. Oh my god. So they go off to save Edward, and Bella saves him just as he's about to step out into the light. He's starting to sparkle, but she gives him a big old hug, and she's like, "Ah, I'm not dead. You can, not off yourself. It's fine. We Gucci." And basically that's the whole of the second film. So the big villain was again Victoria, but she survived again and escaped. Werewolves fought her off. Everyone's fine. So now we've got these this little weird love triangle, because Jacob has obviously fallen head over heels with the plainest woman in existence, Bella. So we've got Edward, Jacob, Bella, all in this weird little love triangle. Excuse me. So that is, I think, everything that happens in the second film. So yeah, essentially the first film, but with wolves and Edward trying to kill himself. So that sort of like pushes their love forward, but obviously there's some weird flirting still with Jacob. It's weird. I don't know. Who cares? Third film, Twilight Eclipse. I don't really remember the setup to all of this, but basically it's Victoria again. She is the bad vamp that is always coming back. She's still very, very angry. She's still very, very angry, but this time she has a plan. She is making an army of newly turned vampires. So basically she's going around Seattle, I think it is, making lots of new vampires. Now there's a benefit to being a new vampire. New vampires are apparently stronger, and they have like more powers, and they're like angrier. They're basically, new vampires are better at fighting, but they're not as controlled, so they're a bit more unhinged. So she's making an army of these really strong new vampires that she can easily like manipulate and control. So that's happening in another place, on the down low. They can't control their thirst, yeah. So really good for trying to take out one mortal girl, aka Bella, which for some reason no one has managed to do yet. So yeah, that's the main problem, or the main situation of Eclipse, the third movie. Now basically Alice, the one that can see the future, keeps on having flashes here and there, and basically they know this attack is coming, but they don't know quite who's behind it or whatever, and they don't know all the details. So basically they know it's coming, but it's just the Cullens, and they know they wouldn't be able to survive. So essentially, they form this uneasy pact with the werewolf clan pack, I guess, the werewolf pack, to sort of protect their town and protect Bella, because they know this attack is like imminent. They are coming. So that's the main story of the film. It's mostly just that. The other part of the film is essentially a huge dick measuring contest between Edward and Jacob, because they are both competing furiously over Bella, but it's also ridiculously petty. Like every single chance he gets, Jacob is taking his shirt off. That's one thing, but basically it's every time they see each other, it's like, well, werewolves are pretty shit, right? Not as shit as vampires, am I right, Bella? Back me up here, babe. Look at my abs, girl. That's essentially the whole movie. Edward, yep, overprotective dad. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Edward, overprotective dad, and then Jacob, like a little horny puppy dog, who thinks he's now entitled to bang Bella because she flirted with him, or something. It's, in my eyes, having looked back at all these, I am no longer Team Edward or Team Jacob. They're both pretty awful. Everyone's pretty awful. Yeah, it's not for me. So before this big battle, they're both trash. Yes, indeed. Before this battle, Edward is personally protecting Bella up on top of a mountain. They go camping, basically, so they're away from everything, so these new vampires don't know where to find them, while all of the rest of the vampires and the werewolves are fighting them off down in like the main town area. So up on this on this mountain, Bella gets pretty chilly because it's on a mountain, and Edward's like, "Oh shit, I can't warm you up because I'm a little cold dead boy." But in comes hot, and I mean it when I say hot, Jacob. He comes in shirtless on top of a mountain because he's a werewolf. He's super hot. He's super warm. So he's like, "Well, Bella, I could, spoon ya if you want." So then now comes this really weird scene where all three of them are in this tiny tent, and this shirtless dude starts spooning Bella inside her sleeping bag while her broody boyfriend is just sat there, just staring at them. And one of the lines is like, "Oh, you know what, Bella? This would work a lot better if I was naked. That's just Survival 101. It's so fucking cringy. It's also pretty rapey. It's really weird. It's like, dude, you're just keeping her warm. Please stop trying to fuck her in this tent while her boyfriend watches. It's really weird. But basically, that's the whole film, is them going back and forth, going, "You're shit. Phew, not as shit as you, mate." It's a pain. It's a pain to watch, and I don't know why she goes for either of them. But overall, Edward is, I guess, is the better one, and it is her boyfriend. But then she also leads on Jacob quite a bit. Like she kisses him at one point, I think. It's all just weird. And essentially, bad vampires get defeated by the werewolves and the vampires working together. New vamps pretty easy. I think one of the wolves might die. I don't know who it was. Maybe one of the wolves dies in the process, or injured or something. He manipulates her into kissing him because he essentially says he'll kill himself if she doesn't. Okay, well that's another example. These people are awful. These people are awful. Okay, so basically, yeah, okay, back to horny puppy dog. He's trying to get what he can't have. He's trying to hump her leg, and she's like, no, down boy, down boy. And then she's like, oh, fine, go on then. So, yeah, they're awful. Okay, so yeah. Okay, maybe not as justified as I thought then. So that is essentially the third movie. I think... Wait, maybe Victoria died? I think maybe all the bad vampires are dead now. At this point in the story. Because I don't think they come up again. I could be wrong on that. Victoria gets killed, right, so the main antagonist is now dead. Basically. And, at the end of the film, Bella again brings up the fact that she wants to be a vampire. And then I think Edward's like, well, you can be a vampire, but only if you marry me. So they get engaged, I think. The Volturi turn up at the end and burn them all. Ah, I did not remember that. So the council of elders, as it were, comes up and gets rid of all the bad vampires. Victoria did indeed get riggedy wrecked. Took a while though. So yeah, we end the film with like them getting engaged. They demand that Bella gets turned soon, so... Oh yeah, that's the thing. I think that was in the... back in the second one, maybe after Edward tries to kill himself, the Volturi want Bella turned into a vampire. So, there is some pressure for her to be a vampire as well, or something. So, next movie is Breaking Dawn Part 1. This film is that like point in time, maybe like 2010 to 2016, where every book adaptation was like split into two parts, and the first part was like really weird and boring, and it's like, well, why couldn't you put this into the one movie? This is that film. Not a lot happens, and it's the shortest summary that I've got written down here. So it starts off by Bella and Edward getting married. All very cutesy, very picturesque wedding. All their friends are there. Oh, it's lovely. It's lovely. Then comes the honeymoon. I think they go to Brazil. I think they go to Brazil for their honeymoon. 16. I think some time has passed. Maybe they're 18-ish, something like that. But they are still very young. But 18, I think they are. Obviously, Edward's still like 100 and something. Carlisle and Esme's private island off of Brazil. And they're meant to be 18. There you go. Confirmation. So they go to Brazil for their honeymoon. And this is the moment we've all been waiting for. Now, previously, it's been stated that Bella and Edward shouldn't have sex because Edward would pound her so hard that she might die. I'm gonna let that sink in. His vampire urges would be so strong that he would literally fuck the life out of her. Okay? But on their honeymoon, Bella's like, I can fucking take it. I can take that pounding. I can take that pounding like a champ. So now comes the pounding scene. the crux of the movie. As far as I can remember, it's not a high-rated film, so you don't really see anything, but you see the aftermath. The aftermath of the pounding is basically the whole room is trashed, the bed's broken, there's shit everywhere, and it's implied that he pound her good. Oh, he pound her good. And she's covered in bruises. Yeah, Rip Vagana. Rip Vagana. If he literally smashed and annihilated the bed that she was on, imagine what he did to her. But again, it's Bella. She's weird. She's fine with this. She's fine with it. She's a kinky girl. She likes a bit of rough and tumble between the sheets. And she's mostly fine. She's mostly fine. Anyway. Sex out of the way, finally. I think Bella's like, oh my god, Edward, that was the best I've ever had. Even though that's literally the only ones she's ever had. So not much of a compliment from Bella there. They continue their honeymoon. They play chess a bit, which is not very honeymoon-esque. I don't know, go out to the beach or something. They play chess on the beach as well, which is really weird. It's really weird. Just go swimming or something. Be normal for once, please. Nothing much happens until Bella feels a bit sick. And then she's like, wait, this couldn't possibly be morning sickness, could it? Shock horror. Bella's pregnant. He fucked her so good that she's pregnant. You don't play chess on the beach? Oh yeah, but they did. They did. As far as I can remember, there are multiple chess playing scenes. Like I said, this film, not very jam-packed with action. So they rush back home because something's not right with this pregnancy. It's going a lot faster than what it should be. So they hurry back home because Carlisle, Edward's dad, is a doctor. So they're like, oh my god, what is wrong with me? I feel like ass. Am I pregnant? Yes, you are. Scene where she strokes her completely flat tummy and like, I'm pregnant. Yeah, you're pregnant. Yeah, pretty much. It's like she basically vomited once and then she's like, pregnant, baby time. So they go home, but they were right. There is a baby inside her, and she gets pregnant, like properly pregnant, really quickly, which is weird. And then she starts looking like a fucking zombie. She like loses all body fat. She looks real gross. Like her eyes like look like they're fucking rotting. It's like, it's gross. She gets hella preggers hella quick. And it seems like being pregnant is killing her. And everyone's like, what? Why the hell is it? Are you dying? Why? What is happening? And eventually they figure out that the baby is like feeding off of her, and in order to fix it, they need to feed Bella blood so the baby can get blood, because I guess they think the baby is a vampire. So basically they need to feed the baby blood through her or something, and that's why it was killing her. I think I've got that right. I don't really know. It's real dumb. It's real dumb. Now, it's at this point in the movie, or it might be... Yeah, it's before the blood, when the baby is still killing her, where the movie turns into a really weird sort of debate about abortion, because there are some people who think that they should abort the baby, and some people that don't, and it goes into this weird, like, political, like, I guess pro-abortion, or pro-anti-abortion, like, debate in the middle of the film. It's real weird and really, I don't know, it's just real weird. But then she drinks the blood and feels all better, basically. But basically, they still need to get the baby out. So she gives birth or has a C-section or something, and basically the baby kills her on the way out. So Bella is dead. The baby's fine and is out. Bella is dead. Now they have a choice. They try to resuscitate her in normal ways, but Edward only really has one choice if he is to save his one true love. He bites her. He injects her with the vampire venom, which is for some reason a thing that he has in a syringe for some reason. Like, biting her didn't work, so he had a big syringe full of his venom, which I guess he milked out of himself? I guess? I don't know how vampires work, but he injects the vampire venom into her and turns her into a vampire. Now, and it ends on a huge cliffhanger of Bella opening her eyes, and they're all red because she is a vampire. He wanted to get it directly into her heart, but yeah, he doesn't say how he gets it, because they don't have fangs or anything, I think, or not big ones, so I guess they don't work like, I don't know, normal vampires would. I don't know, I guess he milked it out of himself, like maybe he's tweaked his nips or something and spewed it out. So yeah, that's the whole film. Mama said, about to die, goodbye. Oh dear, oh no. Someone inject venom into Mama said. Oh dear me. Well, I hope you don't die, bud. Bye. That's the whole film. That is Breaking Dawn Part 1. Ends on her being a vampire. Now, Breaking Dawn Part 2. This is where everything comes together. This is... oh, here we go. Little tidbits here. Stephanie Meyer, the author, confirmed that the reason Edward can get a boner and produce babies is because his venom acts like normal bodily fluids, so it's venom sperm. Oh my god! So he literally milked his peenie of his weird peenie venom and injected... Why? Why did they make them like that? Just have it come out of his teeth. What? Oh, dearie me. Well, oh, no. Right. Okay. I don't know if it's in this one, but they name the baby Renesmee, which is a real dumb name. I think it's a combination of something. I don't know what the first one is. Maybe her mum and Edward's mum? Like a combo of their names or some shit. They call her Renesmee, basically. Okay, so Breaking Dawn Part 2. Starts off... yeah, Bella's mum is Renee, Edward's mum is Renesmee. Esme, yeah. So, Renesmee. Real dumb name. Okay, right, let's get my notes here. So, the film starts with basically Bella is trying to get to terms with being a vampire, getting to terms with all her new powers, super speed, super strength, whatnot. And suddenly she wants the blood. So Edward takes her out on a hunt, and now she's one of those newborns. So she has got a very strong urge for blood. Something I should have mentioned, I don't know if I did. All the Cullens are like... They describe it as vegetarian, but they're not, because they still drink blood. They drink animal blood and not human blood, which is why their eyes are yellow and not red, I think. So they don't hunt humans, unlike the newborns and the bad vamps. So they take Bella out on a hunt. She almost kills a rock climber, but she manages to restrain herself and kills a sweet innocent cougar instead. R.I.P. Cougar. Cougar was minding its own business. I would have liked it. I would have preferred it if she just killed the dude. That cougar did not deserve that. Meanwhile, the guy was climbing on a sheer rock face, and nobody even... No ropes or anything. He would have died anyway. As in the animal, yeah. A sweet little kitty. A kitty cat. A forest kitty cat. A forest catto. Murdered in cold blood. So yeah. She comes to terms with being a vampire. Gets to grips with all the new powers. Now, here's the bit which I teased the other day. Okay. Jacob, the werewolf, meets Renesmee, the child. Now, this child is, like, still growing up really fast. Like, she's like, already, like, 1 year old. It's really weird. She also doesn't talk. Also weird. Now, Jacob, when he meets her, he has some sort of weird vision where he sees him, like, guiding this child up through life and, like, always being with the child, and he basically imagines his life with the child up until her being, like, a teenager or whatever, or up until his age. And basically what this is Jacob imprinting on the child. Now, imprinting is basically... Now, there's no better way to say this. He wants to fuck the baby. Maybe not now, but one day he's gonna fuck that baby. That is what imprinting is. He looks at that child and is like, I will raise you and protect you, and when you are of age, you will be mine. Now, this is a really, really weird thing in the whole story, because everybody, once he tries to explain this to people, it's like, I have imprinted on this child, I must be near her and protect her at all times, as some sort of wolf thing. And everybody in the house is like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's a baby! You don't fuck my baby! So they chuck him out. Meanwhile, he's still trying to, like, desperately explain himself. But it's real messed up. It's really messed up, and it doesn't get much better. Right. So that's one thing with Renesmee. The other thing with Renesmee is that she was seen by one of the Volturi, and imprinting is werewolfy magic where they find life partners. So even as a baby, they'll know they'll be whatever they need through life, which eventually means the fuck. Indeed. Yeah, so I think he says, like, oh, protector, guardian and lover or something. It's real weird, because they are literally talking about, like, a 1-year-old at this point. Also, I'm gonna mention, when Renesmee is a baby, it's a full CGI baby, and it's real creepy looking. I would recommend Googling CGI baby in Twilight and watching the videos, because it's real creepy looking. No, don't CGI a baby. Just get a real baby. I don't know why they didn't get a real baby. It's real weird. Ugh. Everything about this is really weird. Okay, so here comes the big baddies of the film. The Volturi, the High Council of Vampires who do all the vampire lore and shit like that. They think that Renesmee is something called an immortal child, which is basically a child that will never grow up because it's a vampire, and that's against the vampire law, because you can't have a child that never grows up, because that would expose them as being vampires or something. But they don't know that Bella No, they don't know that Renesmee is half vampire, half human, so it's not an immortal baby and shouldn't be killed. So basically, the Volturi want to kill the baby. Jacob wants to fuck the baby. Volturi want to kill the baby. Baby's not having a good time. Baby's not having a good time. And I think by this point she's like aged up to be like 7, because this child is aging ridiculously fast for some reason. So the rest of the film, the Cullens go around and try and get witnesses. They're trying to get a lot of vampire allies that can come to them, see the baby, see that it's not this immortal child, and try and convince the Volturi that it doesn't need to die and everything's fine. So they go around collecting allies, and this is when it turns into it's like a weird like superhero film at this point, because most of the people they meet have different like weird powers. Like, obviously you had the Edward can read minds, Alice can tell the future, but then there's some weird... There's this guy that can, like, control the elements, like Avatar. A person that can, like, make you see whatever she wants you to see or something, and basically... It's basically like an X-Men team-up out of nowhere in the middle of the film, and it's kind of weird and out of nowhere, but basically they have an X-Men team-up of all these... like allied vampires to try and protect the baby and convince the Volturi that she doesn't need to die. And at this point, Bella learns that she has this sort of mind shield power that protects her from other vampires' powers, which is why Edward can't read her mind and stuff like that. So she harnesses that and uses that to help everything. And at this point, the Volturi will not give up. And there is an epic showdown between the Cullens and all of their allies, and the werewolves, because the werewolves... the werewolves also wanted to kill the baby, but they couldn't, because in werewolf lore, they can't kill or harm someone that a member of the pack is imprinted on. So because Jacob wants to fuck the baby... they can't kill the baby. So the wolves end up protecting the baby with the vampires. You following? Are you following this? So there's an epic showdown between the Volturi and the wolves and the Cullens, basically, over this child. And it's an epic fight scene. Wolves and vampires being torn to shreds, and it's actually pretty cool. It's a pretty cool scene. Like, there's a giant... someone punches like a hole in the earth, and some like wolves like drop into magma. There's people being beheaded and being burned alive. A lot of main characters die, and it's pretty good. Now, if that sounds too good to be in a Twilight film, this huge epic fight scene, then you'd be right, because turns out none of it was real. None of it was real. Surprise! It never happened. It was all a dream. Turns out it was all part of Alice's vision. She basically goes up to the leader of the Volturi, touches him, and goes, "This is what would happen if you try and kill the baby. Everyone would die." So this whole fight scene never happened. All the deaths never happened. They basically pulled the whole, "oh, it was a dream the whole time" trick. And essentially it ends with Alice and Jasper bringing in this other vampire who is actually another half vampire, half mortal, and present them to the Volturi, saying, "Look, they pose no threat. You don't have to kill the baby. This guy's fine. He's been living with it like his whole life. He can eat human food or drink blood. He's like a halfway house between the two, and everyone's fine." And then that's pretty much where the movie ends. The Volturi's like, "Okay, fair enough," and just leave. Then they just leave. The Volturi just leave. That's it. That's the whole story. That's it. That's it. They leave. No epic showdown. Everyone's just like, no, see, it's fine. It's fine. So, yeah, that's it. Really, really anticlimactic. It's real bad. Very bad ending. Very bad ending. Good fight scene. I was so pumped because I saw this in the cinema and I was like, oh my god, this is really good for a Twilight film, this fight scene. And it's like, ha, psych. Gotcha. Didn't happen. But yeah. So, conflict over. Everyone's fine. And at the end, there's like a wrap up of like everyone's happy, everyone's gonna be like together forever. Jacob's sad. Like, no, Jacob's not sad because it's like, oh, I'm gonna look after and protect Renesmee. Edward is for some reason really okay with this now, and they're like starting to become buds, and it's like, I will protect your daughter with my life, blah blah blah, and maybe fuck her one day. Now here's the thing. Jacob literally makes a joke to Edward about his 7-year-old daughter that he's gonna fuck her one day. He literally said to Edward, oh, should I start calling you Dad? When the daughter is like 7. Let that sink in. Okay, Jackie, thank you for filling in the gaps of my knowledge. I'm pretty much done anyway, so you pretty much saw all of it. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye. Have a good night. No, not incest. Just pedophilia. Just a smooth, cool pedophilia joke. Twilight soundtracks are fine. Yeah. From what I can remember, yeah. Yeah. Jacob makes a joke to Edward about his daughter. Oh, should I start calling you Dad now? Because I'm gonna fuck your daughter one day. It's real weird. And that's it. That's where the movie ends. And that is the Twilight Saga. So, what do you guys think? The end. Pretty bad, huh? Pretty bad. I'm just looking through my yeah, it's disgusting as well. It's really weird and dumb. Essentially, the thing I took away from it was it's like a cool concept, I guess, but it's so poorly executed. It's so poorly executed that they just should not have bothered, or just tried to rewrite it, or just not based it off the books as much, or something like that. Because like, it's fine, I guess, but there's a lot of bad acting, a lot of bad CGI, bad direction. It's boring for a lot of it, like the whole film where they play chess and fuck a bit. They also didn't like showing fights apart from the last one. Just a bit of a boring series, to be honest. And like I said, you watch through the whole series, and at the end, nothing happens. Like, imagine this. Imagine you are going to see Avengers Endgame, and at the end, they have this like big showdown between every single hero versus Thanos, and then they just chat a bit and then they leave, and that's it. That's the end of the film. Imagine if Avengers Endgame ended like that, and then they go play chess on a beach. That's pretty much the level of disappointment, because it's so dumb. It's so dumb and pointless and weird. And, dearie me. Pretty bad in my opinion, but like, pretty bad, but not as bad as everyone says. Like, I remember quite enjoying them in parts, but, you know, I wouldn't waste your time. I wouldn't, especially not now, going back. But yeah, that is pretty much all I've got written down. That was my summary / review, I guess. I didn't really review it, I guess, at the end. It was bad. But yeah, that is my review on Twilight. Does anyone have any questions or comments or anything they want to bring up or talk about before we call it there? Gone a bit longer than usual. That was a shit movie, yeah. I mean, benefit of the doubt, I might not have done it justice by describing it, but I got it pretty spot on. Jackie didn't correct me too many times, so do I know School of Dragons? Can't say I do. Can't say I do. But yeah, anything anyone else wants to bring up, I'd happily talk about it. Otherwise, I'll call it there.